can call me Momo. And in today's video, we're gonna keep going with this magic cat color along, and this is Fairy Tales and Folklore. So I'm gonna start working still on this bottom part because I want to get this part finished first, and then I'll move to the cat. Usually I like to finish everything around the cat because I'm gonna do some fur. So sometimes I prefer to do all the objects that are behind or around the character. It's gonna have some fur on it because I like to do the little, like the fur outside of the animal, in this case the cat, and it will be on top of the parts that are already colored. So that's why that's my process and why I didn't start it with the cat. But yeah, so I'm gonna do the stems on the berries, and I want to do something similar to the leaves I have around, but not exactly the same color, so I'm gonna have a little variation on that. And for the stems, I'm gonna be using well, still using my 90% cold gray for darker shadows, and a combination of this is green olive, moss green, sepia, and lime peel. So now we're gonna go for the berries here, and I'm not sure what kind of berries they are, but I kind of want to do them like raspberries, really dark raspberries, because I want to go for the warm tones. Well, kind of warm and cool, more reddish color. So we're gonna try to do that, and keeping in mind the same thing with the stems that we did here and all the other elements that we already did. Remembering to use yellow, orange, with a soft pressure layered, and then white to create this pastel color that will create the light for the potion. And the colors we are going to use for the raspberries are going to be black grape, raspberry, dark purple, and peach. And if you see that I put the book to this side, like really to my right, it's because I'm trying to do, I don't know, the camera when I'm coloring on the center is focusing more on my hand than on the drawing. So I figured that when I do this color on this part of the camera, it allows me to, it focuses only on the page and not actually on my hand, so that's why I'm doing this. So I'm gonna start with, I thought I was coloring the raspberries when I started the stems, so I did a little bit of the shadows. So I only want really hard shadows around the leaves, but not on the actual like spheres of the raspberry. So we are not gonna be doing those harsh and dark shadows, just around the leaves. There. And I want to give sort of a volume to the raspberries, so I'm gonna use black grape as my shadow color, my darkest color, and I'm gonna try to make an inner circle, so I'm not touching the edges. Oh, it's broken. Let me sharpen this again. Okay, so I'm gonna try to leave some space, and we're doing the shadows following the direction of the light. So if the light is here, all the shadows of my little spheres inside of the raspberry are gonna be in my left if the light is on the right. And there are some parts where the light is not reaching in the raspberry. So let me show you what I mean. So here, technically, This raspberry doesn't have any light. Oh, well, this part, this one as well. I've planned a lot of colors, but I'm noticing that it's so small that I won't have the opportunity to shade all of those colors, so maybe I will need to reduce what I've planned. Okay, there. Next color, sorry, it's dark purple, and I just want a little bit of this shade here, so I'm thinking they are gonna look more like grapes. I mean, like just wild berries instead of raspberries. I'm using really dark colors, not actual pinks or raspberry colors, but it's fine. We're inside of the color palette. We're not using really, not contrasting or unifying colors, so that's fine. And then I'm going with raspberry on top of those colors to give it the color of the actual pink color we want for raspberries. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm sorry if you hear somebody snoring. It's really late at night, but I found that this time to record. And he's not bothered by me coloring and talking, so we are fine. Okay, and now we're gonna use peach. And I'm gonna use peach for the shadow, the parts we left white. It looks too light, so maybe I will cover that part with a darker color. You know, I think these four are more close to the light, so here I'm actually using yellow orange to create light, and I'm gonna blend everything with white. And I left these white parts, so I'm gonna cover those with peach. you think this highlight, well, reflecting light actually, here it's too light, you can come over with raspberry, and because we already use a lot of pressure burnishing the peach, it will just have like a wash of color. It won't be too harsh, and it will add a darker color on top. And as always, I forgot to color these three, but I'm doing the exact same thing for all the berries. So I started with grape, and this is supposed to be really dark. This one, like here. Then dark purple. Raspberry. And peach. And raspberry on top of the highlight. One really dark raspberry. Okay, I'll continue doing this next ones. Hey, hi, future Monica speaking. The background noise was too loud, so yeah, I needed to do this voiceover. So we're gonna color the mushrooms, and I want to make the glow. And I want to use the same colors I used for the magic ball. So the colors I used for that to remember were Imperial Violet, Powder Blue, Pink, Deco Pink, and Amethyst. And I know, and I remember that I said I was gonna use Amethyst on the magic ball, but I didn't. But this time I'm gonna try to use it, and it will be helpful to blend colors. And to make an object glow, what I think is the best option is to use your darkest colors and then go to your lightest, going towards the center. Kind of the same thing we did with the magic ball, but in this case we are not gonna use black because these mushrooms are gonna be lighter. At this point I felt I was missing a color, and I'm gonna use the same color used for the magic ball. This is non photo blue. I figured out what I wanted to do with the mushrooms, and I'm gonna repeat the exact same process with all the other ones, and I will use the same colors. So basically the process is just to use your darkest color, creating a border on the edges, and then you use your all the other colors going towards the center, and you try to leave an empty space, white space, to make it look like it's glowing. And in any order you can locate the colors as however you like.
So the next part I wanted to color was the ground, or I don't know how it looks. It looks like a rock. It can be ground or grass, I don't know. But I want to use really dark colors. So I'm gonna try to give it a kind of a green but brown look. And for those colors I'm gonna use green ochre, dark umber, cool gray 90%, and if I need to, that I know I need it, black.
And now I see there are some parts that should be a little bit darker to make the leaves stand out, or show more. So I'm gonna try to intensify the darkness in those spots with black. Oh, and I forgot this little spot here, as always. Now moving to the cat, now that we have the bottom part ready, I'm gonna still leave these two for last because I don't know how I need to figure it out what effects I'm gonna do for both. And I think I'm gonna do gold for this part of the magic ball and here on the jewelry. So I'm gonna leave those for last. But now moving to the cat because I really want to color the cat now. I'm gonna do the scarf, and I want to use some of the colors I use here on the lips. Here, maybe I'm gonna use this color combo because I don't want to go too crazy with colors and add more because I think it's already really colorful enough for me. So I'm gonna use the same color combo I used for the lips on the scarf, and I'm gonna try to ignore the patterns on the scarf because it's beautiful, I know, but if I start doing so many colors, it will start being a center point, and I don't want to distract the view from the potion and the magic ball. Those are my focal points, so that's why I'm gonna try to color with only one kind of color or color combo the whole scarf, and maybe we can add some details on the line art that we have already established on the scarf, but I'm not coloring the patterns by separate. So the colors I use for the leaves, just if we want to remember, was dark purple, pumpkin orange, pomegranate, and yellow ochre. I decided to color already the jewelry, and I'm gonna do some gold work, and this is a tiny space. Some parts of this jewel here, I'm gonna use jelly roll to fill some of these spaces, but I'm going to try to color the bigger areas, and I'm going to use a gold jelly roll or any gel pen I have for this part of this scarf. Maybe I'm gonna do some of that on the liner of the scarf to give it a little more detail, but I'm gonna color it as gold, this round area and the jewels here and the base of the magic ball. And for that I'm gonna use dark umber. It's raining really hard. Mineral orange, or is somebody sleeping or is the rain? Coliro and yellow ochre. And I'm not the best person doing metal, so I'm gonna try my best to make it look pretty. I'm gonna try to ignore these lines here, and I'm gonna do my shadows in those areas just to hide those lines. So I'm gonna start with my darkest color. I think it's needing a little bit more of transition, so I'm gonna use burnt ochre. Burnt ochre. There. And now the same colors for all the rest. That was the only specific thing I wanted to explain you how I was looking at it in my head because of the weird lines that it had on them around. I didn't like them. In here. So here, I don't know what I'm gonna use, in which part I'm gonna use the gel pen. Well, for sure I want this part gold. I don't know how metal works with light, so I'm just gonna color it normal because I'm not that advanced. And I'm gonna imagine that this is gold too, and these are just details. Well, I'm gonna cover everything with the yellow ochre because it's supposed to be surrounded by things, so it shouldn't be that shiny. There. What if we color this part too as gold, as a whole thing? This really should be darker. I'm gonna try to add the shadows. It makes more sense, right? And here, and burn ochre. And yellow. No, golden road. And because it's under something, I'm gonna cover everything with yellow ochre. Makes sense. Makes sense and looks good. And I'm gonna use the jelly roll for this and this. And problem solved. Next. is this? Is this supposed to be a jewel? Let's color it gold. And now the jewel, we're gonna just Imperial focus, Imperial Violet, Amethyst, and Black Grape. So what we want to do, I want to recreate what I did in this one. So and then we are gonna do some details with gel pens or acrylic markers. That's it. Now we are only missing the kitty cat, but I'm thinking that we need to do his ears first. So for the ears, I'm gonna use black raspberry, mahogany red, and peach. So this is really simple. I need to do it first because the fur is going to be on top. So if I want to do this little fur, the streaks, or it's the strokes, the fur texture with the strokes. I need to color what is behind or under. So that's why I'm coloring this first, and what I color everything around first. if you want to add a little bit more shadow, your cool gray, you can do both, or you can start using the cool gray as in the beginning, or you can do it at the end with a light pressure. I think it's more controlled if you do it last, but if you want really hard shadows, you can start from the beginning. Because you will blend with the colors. But if you do it at the end, because the colors are already blend, it will be a little bit more difficult to add the color on. But that means that you can control it a little bit more. Okay, kitty, ready. I started coloring the cat, but I noticed that the camera was recording in slow motion. So I'm gonna explain again what I did, because I didn't do much, thankfully. So I started the cat, but I did almost nothing. So the colors what did I say? I said that I want this cat to be black, but we are using different shapes or shade of gray and this black gray color to make it look with a little bit more volume, because I don't want plain black. I want to do some fur, but not too realistic. So I'm gonna try to do a balance in between, not realistic and realistic. And I'm gonna start with the body, because I want to do a surgery on the cat's face, and first I want to figure out how I'm gonna do the fur here. What I did, the colors I'm gonna use are gonna be black, this is 90% cool gray, black grape, %50 cool gray, and amethyst. And what I did first, I don't want to start doing the fur on top of white, because it will take forever to make these strokes of the fur. So what I did, I used 50% cool gray, and I just give it a with a light pressure. I did a base on all the body. I just cover all the white space as a base to start working on something. And I did a combination with the 50% cool gray and the amethyst here on this part of the body, and on this edge here on the tail. I don't know if you can see, because I want to integrate the edges of the body, like sort of like with a rim light or a reflection light. So a rim light is when you have an object here, like behind the element you're coloring. That light creates a halo of light around the object you're looking. It's not only coloring. You can use it for anything related to art or even photography. So we're kind of trying to create that rim light here on the edges, just here maybe here. I'm not gonna go crazy because I don't have a light source here actually on the page, but I want to integrate the background with the cat, and I don't want it to make the cat to look too flat because it's going to be black. So we're gonna try to give it some volume with that source, that idea. I don't know if it's gonna work. I've never done it before, and I've never done fur, black fur before, so this is a new method and I hope it goes well. But yeah, that's what I did. So I cover with the 50% cool gray all the white part of the body and the tail, and on these edges a little bit, I use a little bit of amethyst. You can barely notice. Okay. I don't know how to start. Okay, so understanding the drawing, I guess this line right here are the legs from behind, the back legs. Is that how you call them? And then the front legs should be here. Here in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create, and this should be furry, like fluffy, the chest. So it will look a little bit more natural. Right. So here we're gonna start the surgery. So I did this line and this line. So this part it should be darker. And everything that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to do it with a really light pressure because I want to add the black on top. have an idea of how everything is gonna go. So my darkest colors are gonna be black, grape, and a black. So the hair is gonna have like a purplish look. I think when you're doing fur, you want your pencil to be really sharp, and I have two sharpeners. I have one really big that is not doesn't leave my pencils really sharp, and I have this little one that I bought at Michael's. Sharp. So I'm gonna start doing these strokes. Zoom in a little. finished the body and I'm really pleased with how it's looking. So now I'm confident enough to come to the face and do some surgery, because this face is kind of serious and I want a cute kitty. So I need to remember that I want the moon glow. So for that, instead of using Deco Yellow as I thought I would, I think I'm gonna use some cream instead. Maybe some yellow, Deco Yellow. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Wait. No. Deco Yellow. So what I feel that is not right is that these sharp edges, these sharp shapes are too stylized, I guess. I don't really like it. So I'm gonna cover everything with black, and I want the face a little bit more rounded, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to color on top of this nail color. We'll see. So I started with 50% full gray, and I'm gonna cover everything. No eyelids, no. I'm covering those as well. And these dots, no dots. is at a very ugly state, but it will get better. I know. use dark purple to combine the yellow and the black grape I've used, because I don't want to create a muddy color. When you combine yellows and purples, it looks like gray, and I don't want to do that. So in order to not do that while coloring with these two colors, I need to put in the middle or a magenta, pink, or any sort of warm color, like reddish color. I don't know if it's gonna work with the dark purple, but we'll try. I'm not an expert, I'm just coloring. For the eyes, we're finished with the fur. It was a long journey. And for the eyes, I want to make his pupil bigger so it will look cuter. But I'll do that with a marker. I have a fine liner here, so we'll use this fine liner. But I want yellow eyes like the moon. So we're gonna start with a dark color. Let's start with dark brown. Dark brown, and then pumpkin orange to blend that color. And yellow orange. And then deco yellow. And I'm leaving a tiny bit of space white. And to fix the eyes, use this fine liner. Making it a little bit bigger. Yeah, and then when it dries, I'll come with an acrylic marker and I'll do some dots to make it look alive. And then I'm gonna use the 50% cold gray to color a little bit of the eyes, because they shouldn't be so white. We're gonna do the final touches, so we need to decide what color I'm gonna do for the potion. So I think I'm gonna do it bright, so I'm using Deco Yellow and Pumpkin Orange and 50% Cool Gray. And mineral orange. Focus. Mineral orange. Random order. I don't really know how to color glass. So I'm gonna start with the Deco Yellow. Then I'm gonna do a dark spot with the Pumpkin Orange. Mineral orange to blend those colors. Here. I really don't know how to color glass. And then 50% cool gray. And the yellow. This is a total disorder where we are doing something, I guess. I didn't like the cool gray, so I'm covering that with the pumpkin orange. Well, it looks like something. And I noticed I forgot to color the cat behind. So I'm gonna do gray. I'm blending in with the green. Okay. And that's it for color pencils. I'm not gonna use more color pencils anymore. So I have my Coliro watercolor, and the color I think I'm gonna use, if this opens, I think I'm gonna use Tibet Gold. Tibet Gold. I have all the things that are left in white, basically. Ta-da! I have my acrylic marker set by Arrtx. So I'm gonna use these acrylic markers for some details. So the bowl, I have here number 30 from Arrtx. And I'm gonna do the white space I left. some, there are some dots inside. I'm gonna cover a few of those dots, but I don't want, I wanted to make them a little bit translucent, so I'm putting my finger on top. A few extra dots, small ones. And on top, I'm gonna use the white, there is the number 00, and I'm gonna do smaller dots inside of the ones that I did. The bigger ones. And some small ones. And then I'm gonna try to do a halo of light on the mushrooms. I don't know if it's gonna work. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the ball. I'm gonna use the number 30 acrylic marker, and I'm gonna do some random dots and stick my finger. And then with the white, smaller dots, not in all of them, just on some of them. And if you want, you can make smaller dots, little ones. Same thing here. have the metallic, the Languo gel pen metallic. This is JY143, and I've never used it before. I've used Languos before, but now not the metallic. But I know that it has this small tip, so I'm gonna try to go on top of the details of this scarf. Like this case a mess. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yay. And now I feel like I took care of the pattern and I showed it a little bit more love, because it's beautiful and now it's shiny but cohesive. And the last detail, with the same acrylic pen, acrylic marker, and I use the Arrtx to do some highlights, because I think this one doesn't take the ink or the pigment of the medium I use under. That's why I like to use this one, because when I've used gel pens and even the Languo gel pens, they change the color depending on what color was under. So we're gonna do finally the dots on the kitty's face, on the eyes. My nose. Oh, here on do a line. And the crystal ball too. And we can use a little bit of that on the berries too. Dots, dots, dots. Well, here are not supposed to be dots. But only on the shiny ones. And this is the final result for the page. I'm really pleased with how it's looking. I enjoyed a lot coloring everything, and I enjoyed a lot of it was so relaxing coloring this for. I'm sorry if it's not clear how I colored for, but I was too focused on making the face look right, at least for me, that I started just grabbing colors and adding where I thought I was needing on that part of the face that I was working on. So I will do my best to edit that part of the video so you can kind of understand what I did. I don't want to go too wild with details, so I did just a little bit to give it a little bit more life. But I'm really pleased with the result, and I hope that you enjoyed this color along. And please, if you color this with me, I know it's a long video, 2 parts of maybe 3 or 4 hours, I'm not sure, but this part of the fur actually took me only, well, I'm not gonna say how long it took me because I enjoyed it, and that's the most important part. But yeah, I hope to see, if you're coloring this with me, please let me know, or in my Instagram or my email, because I really want to see your pages if you follow this color along. And if you want to see more of this type of color alongs, this is the way I like to edit them, to show you every single part or every single step of my process coloring. I really like to go into detail, but I like to also speed the process. That's why I have a lot of parts speeded with some, well, yeah, faster like the that that's my way of editing. I really enjoyed the result when the video is complete. So yeah, let me know if you liked this color along, if it was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know and I will answer as soon as possible. And yeah, I'm really happy with the page and I hope you like it as well. Well, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching and following this beautiful page coloring with me. I know a lot of people requested some more color alongs, and I will really want to know what other books or pages would you like to see me coloring. Maybe books, and I can choose a page. What books would you like to see? Maybe I need to do like a list of the books I have, so you can know what books I have and I can do a color along. But yeah, I will try to do that, so you can let me know what other books would you like me to do as a color along in the channel. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and bye-bye. Bye.